This is the day they were all waiting for. January 6th, 1 year later, the most important day of the year, other than January 6th of last year, of course. The left absolutely loving this moment. This is like a political dream come true for them. But you know what? It's really not fair to the nation right now. Hello, everyone. I am Trish Regan. Welcome to the Trish Regan Show. Quick reminder, do make sure that you subscribe to this. Make sure that you subscribe to the full audio version on Apple, iTunes, on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as my Rumble channel, YouTube channel, so that you can see the video version. That's important too. Anyway, we've got a situation today where, Nancy Pelosi has a very, very full schedule that I imagine she's super excited about. They are going to use this for all it's worth, right? Do not forget that this is the same crowd that somehow took no issue with the riots that we saw in the spring and summer of 2020 with the BLM movement. No, that was just totally fine. I mean, despite the fact that people were hurt and despite the fact that businesses lost so much, including many small businesses. I remember one BLM activist out in Chicago saying, oh, it's no big deal. They have insurance. Somehow, like, they were just dismissing it all. It just didn't matter, even though you had violence in the streets. And yet, they're going to look at January 6th and talk about it like a violent riot, as though, there was, and it's not to, excuse the fact that one woman's life was lost or that some people got hurt. But let's just, put it in perspective, right? This was not a massive massacre with, just hundreds of people getting hurt. So I think it's important to keep all of these things sort of in our minds for what they are, what they were. January 6th was not pleasant. I think at the time we all were getting a bit concerned because it almost had seemed to go too far, and it was important. I remember tweeting, it was important that the president come out and encourage everybody to go home because, look, I think conservatives are peaceful people. The peaceful protests are a part of who we are. It's a part of what our nation is. The BLM protests, that's not. That's something else entirely. This sort of Antifa, socialist, crazy extremism, that's not really representative, I think, of what many conservatives are, in fact. But the way this will be presented, the way history is being written, it will certainly seem as though it was a kind of, Pearl Harbor-like event. And I think it's just important to remember all of this within some context. And also understanding, of course, the political aspect to all of this, because this is a very, very rabid political bunch between Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez over there and the squad, the rest of them. This is a political bunch that recognize this opportunity, and so they're going to try and run with it for all that it is worth and remind everyone why you can never trust a conservative, because you know what? They may just overthrow the government, right? I mean, Twitter's out today saying we're not going to allow certain kinds of content on our platform. And it's like, wait a second, guys. I mean, really, in a free society, if you're going to be the town square, you should just be the town square. Otherwise, by the way, forget that 230 stuff. I don't think that we need to be giving you any special privileges. So be prepared today for a lot of pomp and circumstance, and just try and keep it in perspective. Keep it in perspective and understand what it is, a political machine at work. Because, by the way, this team is in some kind of political hell. Biden, Kamala, Pelosi, Schumer, the whole lot of them, right? Did you see the newest poll numbers? Joe Biden sinking yet again. Kamala Harris down to like 28%. I mean, this is one big giant sinking ship. It's sinking so badly that one of her last employees in the vice president's office just took off, went to the Black Congressional Congress office. And so I don't know who's left. Clearly it must be an intern, because if you see the tweets that she's sending out, and I want to share with you one of them right now. If you see these tweets, it can't possibly be anyone that understands what's going on in the world, because on the day when we had the disaster on 95, when we had all of these planes being canceled, and they're still being canceled, she started talking about how great infrastructure was. In fact, let me quote her. On January 4th, she wrote, "Because of the bipartisan infrastructure law, America is moving again. That's what infrastructure is all about, getting people moving." At a time when, by the way, nobody could move. So I question whether that's really her tweeting this stuff or whether she just has a really not so swift intern, given that everybody else has left the vice president's office. Look, it is a sinking ship, and I think people in Washington, D.C. know that, but that makes it all the more dangerous because they're willing to just cling onto any power that they have, and they've got big tech helping them do it, right? All the more reason for you to follow me on Rumble, for you to go to Locals, which is part of Rumble, and join me there where we can talk directly. It's just important. I can't stress that enough, because there's an effort to suppress the other side or anything that's not completely in line with their way of thinking. And it's going to get worse as we get closer and closer to midterms in 2022. And I know it's going to get worse because, look, we went through it in 2020, and I predicted we would. I predicted that they would politicize this for all it was worth, COVID that is, and not to take away anything from how serious it is and how bad it is for so many people. I mean, we've lost more than 800,000, but still, let's recognize what these politicians do. And they're going to try and do it all over again. I mean, what are they going to shut down the country again? Are they going to make sure that somehow, some way, every single person in America gets a mail-in ballot? I said this on yesterday's program. Mail-in ballots are a bad idea to have those on a mass level because it just leaves us more vulnerable to manipulation. And if nothing else, it makes people super uncomfortable because they know it could be more vulnerable. And you need people to have tremendous confidence in the system in order for those elections to go smoothly. So they're living in a political hell, and they're going to make all our lives a living hell as a result. I mean, this is what is going to happen between now and 22 because they want to do anything and everything they can to get control. I mean, look, he's got this radical agenda. He got all these fancy schmancy historians, academics around a table, Joe Biden did, that is, back when he first came to office, and he talked about how he could be remembered as a president. You know, how could he be another FDR? And they said, well, you got to be another FDR. You got to go and do all these big, big, big things, all this infrastructure, all this stimulus. Of course, it's kind of hard to do when you don't actually have the Senate, right? I mean, FDR had the Senate. Joe Biden does not. And so it's so critical to him right now that he get the Senate. And so I just think there's a lot at stake, just like there was in 2020. There's a lot at stake in 2022, and the left is going to try to manipulate the situation as much as they can for their own advantage. Again, why conservatives need to stay motivated, need to stay focused, and not just conservatives, anybody who thinks this country's going in the wrong direction. And I think there's a lot of Democrats out there that feel that way. There's certainly a lot of independents. That's why these poll numbers are tanking so badly, because independents realize he's done a lousy job on the economy. He's done a lousy job on foreign policy. And by the way, they thought he was just a nice guy who was like middle of the road Joe. Of course, he never told us how he felt about any policy because he stayed in his darn basement the whole time he was campaigning. I kept saying, listen to the policy, because the policy is what ultimately matters. Anyway, he didn't give us any policy, and then he comes into office and he turns out to be this giant radical. So people are upset, as they should be. I want to just quickly mention, with all these things going on, it's a good time right now, if you're watching this, to think about your New Year's resolutions, right? And one of those resolutions may be making sure that you tune into this podcast every single day so you know what's going on and what they're trying to do. I would appreciate that if you do and you subscribe to this channel. But the other resolution should be on getting your life in order. You know how much I talk about the economy, the importance of personal responsibility, the importance of saving for your retirement. Well, one of those things as well, and I'm so glad that this company is a sponsor of this program, is making sure that you have life insurance, and selectquote.com can help you do that. I say that because I feel very strongly about this. I actually had a situation as a kid where I remember a family that I knew lost their father very young, unexpectedly, of a heart attack, and it just turned their lives upside down because he didn't have any insurance. And so suddenly you get two little kids, a widow, a mom, that have to just totally change their lives. And so that always stuck with me. And, I've just been a big believer in life insurance. I think that you gotta have it. It's sort of the cost of doing business, kind of the cost of being alive if you've got anybody that cares about you. So I want you to keep that in mind. And this is a resolution that, you know what, you can get done really quickly, and you can feel like you've really accomplished something right after. Now is the time. So if you do not have life insurance, you need to listen to this. Just a couple minutes out of your day can make a very big difference to you and to your family. You don't need to go anywhere out there for this other than to a professional. You need to go to someone who understands this business. And that's why I recommend this company, why I recommend SelectQuote. For over 35 years, SelectQuote has helped people save 50% or more by shopping highly rated insurance carriers. In other words, they have the technology to match you directly with a policy that works. In fact, they found a 40-year-old man with high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. I mean, imagine $19 a month. It's so affordable. You need to be able to protect your family. You really do. And everything that you've worked for. Plus, the quotes are totally free at selectquote.com, 100% free. They take only minutes. So do me this favor. Take a couple of minutes out of your day today to get your free quote. Go to selectquote.com today. That's selectquote.com. Full details on sample policy and carrier ratings at selectquote.com/commercials. Price could vary by health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states, but obviously a pretty important thing to be thinking about right now. We've got an economy that's in sort of a treacherous area. We saw a very good jobs report come from ADP, and there's some sense that, actually there may be more people getting back to work. We did see jobless claims at a 52-week low, which was just incredible. But simultaneously, you got kind of a giant sick out going on right now. I mean, everybody's calling out sick. Everybody seems to be getting Omicron, and businesses, in many cases, can't actually function. I was at a restaurant recently where they said they had to close for 10 days because of Omicron. And so think about the money that businesses are losing, and think about the wages that people are losing. Yet simultaneously, we're in this weird world where prices keep going up because inflation is here. Poor planning from the Federal Reserve. We got minutes yesterday, and it looks like they are finally, in our lifetimes, going to raise rates. So that could have a negative effect on the market or on the economy. There's some worry about that right now. Overall, what I would say is it's so important for you to think for yourself, to think about your future, to make sure that you're invested. And lots of different investment vehicles are out there. Make sure you're diversified. I like stocks. I like real estate. I like gold. I even like Bitcoin, by the way. I mean, everything within moderation, right? But that's important right now. And I understand why people are angry with this administration. I understand why it's going to change. It needs to change. It has to change. But they're going to, meaning Kamala, Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, and the rest of them, they're going to do everything they can to get in the way of that. So stay focused, let's stay motivated, and let's take back our country. I'll see you tomorrow.